My name is Valerie, and at 67 years old, I've finally retired after working myself to the bone my entire life. Last year, I bought my dream home, a $5 million oceanfront villa in Florida. It was supposed to be my peaceful sanctuary. That is, until my son-in-law Derek found out about it. His phone call came out of nowhere. "We're on our way to you with 15 friends for 3 weeks. Get ready, old man." I just smiled. If you're watching this, let me know where you're viewing from in the comments. And if you've ever had to deal with entitled relatives trying to take advantage of you, hit that like button and subscribe. You'll definitely relate to what happened next. When I think back on my life, what stands out most is how hard I've worked. For 40 years, I climbed the corporate ladder in pharmaceutical sales, routinely putting in 60 to 70-hour weeks. It wasn't easy, but I had powerful motivation. My husband Thomas died of cancer when our daughter Amanda was just 8 years old. The loss devastated us both, but I knew I had to stay strong for her. As a suddenly single mother, I had 2 priorities: providing Amanda with everything she needed and securing my own future so I would never be a burden to her. Every bonus, every commission check, every raise, I carefully allocated a portion to Amanda's college fund and another to my retirement savings. While other executives bought luxury cars or vacation properties in their 40s, I drove the same reliable sedan for 15 years and took modest vacations. My colleagues thought I was overly frugal, but I had a plan. Amanda grew into a compassionate, intelligent woman. She worked hard through college and graduate school, becoming a respected therapist, specializing in family trauma. I couldn't have been prouder. When she turned 35, she introduced me to Derek. He was 40, then worked in finance, and on the surface seemed successful and charming. He said all the right things during our first meeting, complimented my parenting, and appeared genuinely interested in my career. But something about him never sat right with me. "Mom, he's wonderful," Amanda had gushed after they'd been dating 6 months. "He takes care of everything, makes reservations at the best restaurants, plans our trips, handles all the details." I nodded and smiled, but privately wondered if this taking care of everything meant controlling everything. Still, Amanda was an adult, and she seemed happy. When they married after a year of dating, I welcomed Derek into our family with open arms, despite my reservations. Over the 3 years of their marriage, I noticed troubling patterns. Derek changed jobs 3 times always, with a story about better opportunities, but never quite explaining the circumstances of his departures. He frequently mentioned wealthy clients and business associates, dropping names and figures in conversation. Most concerning were his subtle attempts to learn about my finances. "Valerie, with your experience, you must have quite the retirement package," he once mentioned casually over Thanksgiving dinner. "Amanda and I were just talking about investment strategies. Maybe we could compare notes sometime." I smiled and changed the subject. Years in pharmaceutical sales had taught me to recognize a pitch when I heard one. From then on, I was careful about what financial information I shared with Derek. After 45 years of working, saving, and planning, I finally retired last year at 67. With Amanda established in her career and my finances secure, I decided to fulfill my lifelong dream. I wanted a place where I could wake up to the sound of waves, spend my days reading books on a sunny terrace, and watch spectacular sunsets in the evening. After months of searching, I found it, a stunning 5-bedroom villa on the oceanfront in Boca Raton. The property was everything I'd dreamed of. Spacious without feeling empty, elegantly designed with large windows to maximize the breathtaking ocean views, a gourmet kitchen where I could finally explore my interest in cooking, and direct access to a pristine stretch of beach. The price tag was steep, $5 million. But I'd saved and invested wisely. I could afford it while still maintaining a comfortable cushion for my future. I kept the purchase relatively quiet. Not out of shame. I was proud of what I'd accomplished through decades of hard work. But because I wanted to settle in and enjoy my new home in peace before fielding visitors. I told Amanda about it, of course, but downplayed the luxury aspects. I found a lovely place in Florida right by the ocean, I told her during one of our weekly phone calls. It's a bit larger than I need, but the location is perfect for my retirement. She sounded genuinely happy for me. That's wonderful, Mom. You deserve it after all these years. We should come visit once you're settled. Absolutely, I agreed. Let me get everything arranged first, and then we'll plan a proper visit. What I didn't count on was accidentally revealing more details during a family dinner 3 months after I moved in. Amanda and Derek came to my old house, which I was preparing to sell, for a farewell dinner. While showing Amanda photos of my new garden on my phone, I accidentally swiped to pictures of the villa's expansive oceanfront terrace and infinity pool. "Mom!" Amanda exclaimed. "You didn't tell me it was so magnificent. This looks like something out of a magazine." Derek immediately perked up, moving to look over her shoulder at my phone. "Let me see that," he said, taking the phone from her hands without asking. He swiped through several more photos, his expression changing subtly with each one. "This is quite the retirement pad, Valerie," he said, his voice casual, but his eyes calculating. 5 bedrooms oceanfront in Boca. Must have set you back, what, 4-5 million? I took my phone back and smiled neutrally. It's my retirement dream. After working since I was 22, I decided to indulge myself. The dinner continued pleasantly enough, but I noticed Derek asking more questions about the property, the neighborhood nearby amenities, whether I had a boat slip, how many cars fit in the garage. I answered vaguely and changed the subject when possible. As they were leaving, Derek hugged me a beat too long and said, "We definitely need to come visit your new paradise soon." Something in his tone made me uneasy, but I smiled and said we'd plan something in the future. I had no idea that soon in Derek's mind meant much sooner than I could have possibly imagined. 2 weeks after that dinner, I was enjoying a perfect morning at my villa. The temperature was ideal, 78 degrees with a gentle breeze carrying the scent of salt water and tropical flowers. I'd made myself a cup of premium Colombian coffee and was sitting on my terrace watching pelicans dive into the ocean for their breakfast while planning my day. Maybe I'd take a long walk on the beach, then try that grouper recipe my neighbor had shared. Later, perhaps some gardening. I'd been nurturing a collection of orchids that seemed to thrive in the humid Florida air. This peaceful routine was exactly what I'd worked decades for. Quiet, beautiful days, dictated only by my own desires. My phone rang, interrupting my peaceful reverie. Seeing Amanda and Derek's home number, I answered with a smile in my voice. "Good morning. How are you two doing today?" Instead of my daughter's warm greeting, Derek's voice boomed through the speaker, startling me with its volume and commanding tone. "Valerie, great news. We're on our way to you right now." I blinked in confusion. "What today? I didn't know you were planning a visit." He continued as if I hadn't spoken. "Not just us. I've got some business associates and their families coming too. Important networking opportunity. We're on our way to you. There will be 16 of us total. Prepare beds, towels, slippers, food. We'll be staying for 3 weeks. The coffee cup nearly slipped from my fingers. 16 people, 3 weeks. "Derek, that's not possible. I'm not prepared for..." He cut me off. "No time to discuss. We'll be there in about 45 minutes, so hurry up, old man. Start getting things ready." The casual old man reference, dismissive and slightly demeaning, stung sharply. Before I could form a coherent response, Derek continued with rapid-fire instructions. "We'll need at least 3 meals a day. Some of these people are pretty important in my industry, so make sure everything's top-notch. My buddy Paul has dietary restrictions. No gluten, no dairy. His wife's vegan. Oh, and we'll want to use the boat's jet skis, whatever water stuff you've got." My mind reeled as I tried to process this onslaught. "Derek, stop. I don't have boats or jet skis, and I certainly can't prepare for 16 overnight guests with no notice. This isn't a hotel. Where is Amanda?" "Let me speak with her. She's driving the second car. Look, this is important for my career. These connections could mean a huge promotion. Family helps family, right? And you have all that space anyway, 5 bedrooms sitting empty most of the time. What's the point of having a multi-million-dollar beach house if you don't share it? His sense of entitlement knocked the breath from my lungs. Derek did Amanda agree to this plan. A slight hesitation. She knows we're taking a trip to Florida. Details aren't important. She trusts me to handle things. That evasive answer told me everything. Put her on the phone, please. She can't talk right now. We're on the highway. Listen, Valerie, this is happening. We're already on our way with everyone. I've been talking up your place for days. Don't make me look bad. Does Amanda know you're planning to stay at my home for 3 weeks with 15 other people? Another pause. Look, we can sort out the details when we arrive. Just start getting things ready. We'll be there in 45 minutes, so hurry up. The call ended. I sat frozen coffee growing cold in my hand, my peaceful morning shattered. I immediately tried calling Amanda's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. I sent a text, "Call me immediately about Derek's plans." No response came. Later, I would learn she was in a therapy session with a client. Her phone turned off, as was her professional practice. My heart raced as I tried to make sense of what had just happened. 16 people. 3 weeks. No notice. No real permission asked, just demands issued. And the way Derek had spoken to me, as if I were a service provider rather than family. As if my home were a resort he'd booked, rather than my private residence. A moment of panic swept through me. Should I rush to prepare as best I could? Was I being selfish with my space? Then a lifetime of setting boundaries in my professional career kicked in. No, this was not acceptable behavior, and I would not reward it by scrambling to accommodate impossible demands. I took a deep breath and reminded myself that I'd earned every square foot of this villa through decades of hard work. This was my sanctuary, not a timeshare for Derek's professional networking. Something needed to be done, and quickly. My hands were shaking as I set my coffee cup down. 45 minutes. That's all the time I had to decide how to handle this situation. My mind raced through options, each seeming more difficult than the last. I could try to accommodate them, run to the store, buy mountains of food, strip the beds, and remake them clean bathrooms that hadn't been used in weeks. But even if I managed all that, where would 16 people sleep? I had 5 bedrooms. Even with couches and air mattresses, the math didn't work. And the thought of 3 weeks of cooking, cleaning, and catering to Derek's business associates made my stomach turn. I could refuse entirely. Lock the doors, don't answer when they arrive. But that felt both cowardly and potentially damaging to my relationship with Amanda. Even if she didn't know what Derek had planned, a complete lockout would create a family rift that might be hard to repair. As I paced my terrace, memories of other incidents with Derek surfaced. There was the time he borrowed my credit card information from Amanda's purse to book a surprise anniversary trip, resulting in an awkward call from my fraud department. Or how he'd pressured me to co-sign a loan for a luxury car last year, suggesting I didn't trust him when I declined. Or the Christmas he'd announced to extended family that Amanda and he would be hosting the holiday at my house, without asking me first. Each incident had been smoothed over. I'd made excuses for him not wanting to create tension in Amanda's marriage, but this was beyond presumptuous. This was a complete disregard for my boundaries, my home and my dignity. I called my best friend Judy, who answered on the second ring. "Val, how's paradise this morning?" "Under siege, apparently," I replied, and quickly explained the situation. Judy's outrage matched my own. "He's bringing 15 people to stay for 3 weeks with no notice. That's not just rude, that's insane." "What would you do?" I asked. "Stand your ground," she said firmly. "If you give in on this, you're setting a precedent that your home is his, to use whenever and however he wants. And honey, you worked too damn hard for that beautiful place to let it become Derek's personal hotel." She was right. This was a defining moment in how Derek, and by extension Amanda, would relate to me and my property going forward. I needed to be firm, but also strategic. I didn't want to damage my relationship with my daughter, but I also couldn't allow myself to be treated this way. "Thanks, Judy, I think I know what to do." After hanging up, I made 3 quick calls. The first was to my property management company, which helped maintain the villa when I traveled. They had a spare key and could send someone immediately. "Maria, it's Valerie Thompson." I have a situation and need your help right away. Maria was professional and efficient. Of course, Ms. Thompson. What can we do for you? I explained the circumstances and my plan. She agreed to send their manager Roberto over immediately. The second call was to Gulf Coast Security, the company that monitored my home alarm system. They offered private security guards for special events and emergencies. This qualifies as an emergency, I assured the dispatcher. I need someone here within 30 minutes. My final call was to the Ocean View Resort, a luxury hotel just 10 minutes from my villa. I'd attended a community fundraiser there last month and had chatted with the manager, Sydney. Sydney, it's Valerie Thompson. I have an unusual request. I need to book multiple rooms available immediately for potentially up to 3 weeks. To her credit, Sydney didn't miss a beat. How many rooms are we talking about, Ms. Thompson? 8 double rooms, possibly more. It's for a family emergency, I explained vaguely. I'll cover the first 3 nights up front, but the guests will need to arrange payment after that if they choose to stay. We happen to have availability due to a corporate retreat cancellation, Sydney said. I can make this work. With arrangements in place, I changed into a simple but elegant outfit. White linen pants, a blue silk blouse, and minimal jewelry. Professional, dignified calm. I wanted to look like exactly what I was, a woman in control of her own home. Roberto from Property Management arrived first, followed shortly by Carlos from Gulf Coast Security. I explained the situation more fully to them both. I don't anticipate any physical confrontation, I assured Carlos, noting his concerned expression. Your presence is simply to reinforce that this is private property, and I have the right to determine who stays here. Roberto nodded in understanding. We deal with vacation property disputes more often than you'd think, Ms. Thompson. You're handling this exactly right. We took a few minutes to secure valuable items and lock certain rooms. Then we positioned ourselves on the front drive to wait. Carlos stood slightly behind me, professional, but clearly present. Roberto waited by his company vehicle, paperwork in hand. I took deep breaths, preparing myself mentally for the confrontation to come. I was nervous, but resolute. For too long, I'd allowed Derek's boundary violations to slide in the interest of family harmony. That ended today. I heard the vehicles before I saw them, a convoy turning into my long driveway. Derek's black SUV led the way, followed by a silver sedan that I recognized as Amanda's car, then 3 more vehicles I didn't recognize. They parked haphazardly in the circular drive, blocking each other in. The doors opened and people spilled out, stretching and chattering excitedly. I counted quickly, 16 exactly, including Derek and Amanda. There were 7 couples, Derek's parents, whom I'd met only twice, and what appeared to be 2 single men. Their vacation energy was palpable. Sunglasses, summer clothes, smartphones, taking pictures of my home. The luggage was excessive. Multiple suitcases per person, coolers, beach equipment, and what looked like cases of alcohol. One man was already unfolding what appeared to be a portable speaker system. Derek emerged from his SUV with the confident stride of someone who believes he's arranged everything perfectly. He wore designer sunglasses and a smug smile that faltered slightly when he noticed me standing formally in the driveway with Roberto and Carlos flanking me. "Valerie, we made it," he called out, approaching with arms outstretched as if for a hug. "Beautiful place, even better than the pictures. Everyone's excited to." He stopped, finally registering the security guard's uniform and Roberto's property management blazer. "What's going on?" His voice lost its false cheerfulness. "Who are these people?" I stepped forward, making sure my voice was calm but firm. "Derek, I wasn't consulted about this visit. 16 people cannot stay in my home for 3 weeks without proper planning and my explicit permission." His face darkened. "We discussed this on the phone. I told you we were coming. You informed me 45 minutes ago that you were already en route. That's not a discussion or a request. It's a demand." By now, the others had gathered behind Derek, looking confused. Amanda pushed through the crowd, her expression mortified as she took in the scene. "Mom, what's happening?" She looked between Derek and me, clearly caught off guard. Before I could respond, Derek jumped in. "Your mother doesn't want us to stay after we drove all this way with everyone. Amanda's eyes widened. What do you mean, everyone? You said we were visiting Mom for the weekend, just us. The ripple of surprise that went through the group confirmed what I'd suspected. Many of them hadn't known the full situation either. A tall woman in an expensive sundress stepped forward. Derek told us this was a fully arranged group vacation at his mother-in-law's luxury villa. We all paid him for our share. Several people nodded in confirmation, and my heart sank for Amanda, whose face was flushing with embarrassment and confusion. I addressed the group directly. I'm Valerie Thompson. This is my private residence, not a vacation rental. I was not consulted about this visit, nor did I agree to host 16 people for 3 weeks. I apologize for any confusion, but this was arranged without my knowledge or consent. Derek attempted to salvage the situation, his charm cranking up to maximum. Valerie, there's clearly been a misunderstanding. I thought you'd be happy to have company and show off your beautiful home. Family helps family, right? And there's plenty of room. 5 bedrooms, I corrected. For 16 people. That's not plenty of room, Derek. And this isn't a misunderstanding. It's a complete lack of respect for my home and my boundaries. One of the men, presumably a business associate, looked increasingly uncomfortable. Derek, you told us this was all arranged. You collected money from all of us for the accommodations. A murmur went through the group. Amanda looked stricken. Derek, did you charge our friends to stay at my mother's house without even asking her? He ignored her, focusing instead on trying to salvage his plan. Valerie, you're embarrassing me in front of my colleagues. We can work this out. Maybe some people can take bedrooms, others can use air mattresses. We're all friends here. We can make it work. No, I said firmly. We cannot make it work. This is my home, not a hotel. However, I continued addressing the whole group. I've made arrangements for all of you at the Ocean View Resort 10 minutes from here. They have 8 double rooms reserved under my name. I've covered the first 3 nights. After that, you'll need to make your own arrangements if you choose to stay longer. The relief on some faces was immediate. Others looked annoyed. Derek was furious. This is ridiculous. You're punishing everyone because you want to be difficult. Amanda, tell your mother she's overreacting. Amanda looked at him with new eyes. Derek, did you really think my mother would host 16 people with no notice? Did you really charge our friends money to stay at her house without asking her? And why did you tell me we were just visiting for the weekend? He waved dismissively. Details, I was handling it. One of the women stepped forward. I think we should take Ms. Thompson's offer for the hotel. This is clearly awkward for everyone. Others nodded in agreement. Derek's face hardened as he realized he was losing control of the situation. Fine. If that's how you want it, Valerie, but you're damaging my relationship with Amanda by pulling this stunt. No, Derek, I replied calmly. You damaged your relationship with both of us by your actions today. I'm simply setting a boundary. I turned to Amanda, whose eyes were brimming with tears. Sweetheart, you're always welcome here. We need to talk, but not like this. Call me when you're settled, okay? She nodded wordlessly, her expression a complex mixture of embarrassment, anger, and confusion. Roberto stepped forward, handing out printed directions to the Ocean View Resort. Carlos maintained his professional stance, not intimidating, but clearly present. One by one, the cars loaded back up. Some people approached me to apologize privately for the confusion before leaving. Derek was the last to go, refusing to look at me as he got into his SUV. Amanda hesitated, then quickly hugged me before joining him. I watched the convoy leave, feeling a complicated mix of emotions. Satisfaction at standing my ground, anxiety about the repercussions, and sadness for the pain this would cause Amanda. As the last car disappeared down the drive, Roberto turned to me. You handled that perfectly, Ms. Thompson. I thanked both men for their help and went inside. My hands were shaking again, but this time from the aftermath of adrenaline. I poured myself a glass of water and sat on the terrace, looking out at the ocean that usually brought me such peace. My phone chimed with the text from Judy. How did it go? I typed back, I stood my ground, but I think this is just the beginning. 3 hours later, my phone rang. Amanda's name flashed on the screen, and I answered immediately. Amanda, are you okay? Her voice was strained. Mom, I'm so sorry. I had no idea what Derek was planning. He told me we were visiting you for the weekend, just the two of us. I only realized everyone was coming when we met at the gas station this morning. Even then, he said you'd agreed to host a small gathering. Oh, sweetheart. My heart ached for her. Of course I know you wouldn't have gone along with this. Everyone's checked into the hotel now, she continued. Some people are actually relieved. They didn't really want to crowd into a house with 15 other people either. Derek told them it was going to be like a private resort with staff. Staff? I couldn't keep the incredulity from my voice. Did he expect me to wait on everyone hand and foot for 3 weeks? I don't know what he was thinking, she admitted. He's furious right now. He's been on the phone arguing with people about refunds. Apparently, he collected quite a bit of money from everyone promising luxury accommodations. This was worse than I thought. Amanda, it sounds like he was essentially running a scam using my home. I know, she said quietly. I'm starting to see that. Before I could respond, I heard Derek's voice in the background. Is that your mother? Give me the phone. There was a shuffling sound, and then Derek's clipped tone came through. Valerie, you've created a disaster here. These are important business connections, and you've made me look like a fool. You did that yourself, Derek, I replied evenly. You attempted to bring 16 people into my home for 3 weeks without my permission. You charged these people money based on false promises. What did you expect would happen? I expected family to help family, he snapped. Amanda and I have supported you in countless ways. This blatant lie took my breath away. Excuse me. In what ways exactly have you supported me, Derek? He backpedaled slightly. Emotionally, we've been there for you since Thomas passed. Thomas died 23 years ago. You've known me for 4 years. He changed tactics. Look, what's done is done. But Amanda is upset, and that's on you. You could have handled this privately instead of humiliating me in front of everyone. Just like you could have asked me privately, before bringing 15 people to my home, or before charging your friends for accommodations I never offered. In the background, I could hear Amanda asking for the phone back. Derek's voice grew more distant, as if he'd turned away from the receiver. Not now, Amanda, I'm fixing your mother's mess. I heard my daughter's voice uncharacteristically sharp. Give me the phone, Derek, now. More shuffling, and then Amanda was back. Mom, I need to deal with things here. Can I come see you tomorrow? Alone. Relief flooded through me. Of course, sweetheart, anytime. After we hung up, I called Judy again and filled her in on the latest developments. He charged people money to stay at your house without telling you. Her outrage was comforting. That's not just rude, that's potentially fraudulent. I'm more worried about Amanda right now, I admitted. This has to be humiliating for her. Maybe it's also illuminating, Judy suggested gently. You've mentioned before that Derek sometimes steamrolls over her preferences. Maybe seeing him do it to you so blatantly will help her recognize the pattern. I hoped she was right. Over the next several hours, I received a series of increasingly accusatory texts from Derek. The hotel is charging extra for ocean views. Will you cover that too? Paul and Lisa are upset about the change in plans. This is damaging my professional relationships. Your stubbornness is creating a rift between Amanda and me. Is that what you want? I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I tried to prepare mentally for Amanda's visit the next day. We needed to have an honest conversation about Derek's behavior, but I didn't want to seem like I was trying to come between them. This would require careful navigation. The next morning, I made Amanda's favorite breakfast foods, blueberry pancakes and fresh fruit, but didn't know if she'd arrive in time to eat them. To my surprise, she showed up at 8 a.m., looking tired but resolute. I told Derek I needed space to think, she explained as I hugged her. I got a separate room at the hotel last night. Over breakfast, she shared more details about what had happened. Derek had indeed collected money from everyone, nearly $2,000 per couple, for the exclusive beachfront accommodation with meals included. He'd promised private beach access, daily housekeeping, and gourmet meals. He showed them pictures of your house mom, pictures he took secretly when you were showing me your phone that night at dinner. I pushed my pancakes away, my appetite gone. Amanda, that's not just presumptuous, that's... I know, she interrupted, her voice steady, despite her red-rimmed eyes. It's dishonest, and it's not the first time. Slowly, carefully, she began to share incidents I'd never known about. How Derek had borrowed money from her therapy practice's business account for a personal investment that never materialized. How he'd pressured her to ask me for financial help when they were remodeling their kitchen, even though they didn't actually need it. I always made excuses for him, she admitted. He's ambitious. He thinks big. He's trying to build connections. But seeing how he treated you yesterday, her voice faltered. He didn't just disrespect me, I said gently. He lied to you too, sweetheart. She nodded, tears spilling over. The whole drive down here, he kept saying how excited you were about the visit, how you were looking forward to meeting his business associates. When I asked why we needed 3 weeks, he said you had insisted we stay longer to really enjoy the property. My heart broke for her. We spent the morning talking, really talking, in a way we hadn't in years. About her marriage, about Derek's patterns, about her own doubts that she'd been suppressing. I don't know what to do, she finally admitted. I love him, but I don't recognize the person I saw yesterday. You don't have to make any decisions right now, I assured her. Why don't you stay here for a few days, take some time to think without Derek's influence? She accepted gratefully, and I helped her bring in a small overnight bag from her car. We spent the day quietly together, walking on the beach, reading on the terrace, cooking dinner side by side. It felt like a healing reconnection for both of us. That evening, as we were finishing a glass of wine on the terrace, Amanda's phone buzzed repeatedly with texts. She glanced at it and sighed. Derek's asking when I'm coming back to the hotel. He wants to put this unpleasantness behind us and enjoy the vacation with our friends. What do you want to do? I asked carefully. She turned her phone face down on the table. Right now, I want to sit here with my mum and watch the sunset without thinking about Derek's demands for at least an hour. I reached over and squeezed her hand, immensely proud of this strong woman I'd raised. We had 2 peaceful days together, reminiscent of times before Derek entered our lives. Amanda seemed to relax more with each passing hour, reading books from my shelves, helping me with my orchids, and even laughing again. She spoke with her therapy practice's office manager to arrange coverage for her clients, deciding to take a full week to sort through her thoughts. Derek's messages continued shifting between guilt-inducing, everyone's asking where you are, minimizing, you're overreacting to a simple miscommunication, and occasional flashes of self-awareness. I should have been more transparent. Amanda responded briefly, but maintained her boundary about needing space. On the 3rd afternoon, we were enjoying iced tea on the terrace when the doorbell rang. I answered it to find Derek standing there, looking simultaneously angry and attempting to appear contrite. Valerie, he nodded stiffly. I'm here to speak with my wife. That's up to Amanda, I replied, not moving from the doorway. He tried to peer past me into the house. Can you tell her I'm here? I don't need to, Amanda said, appearing beside me. I can hear you. His expression softened immediately. Babe, this has gone on long enough. You've made your point. Come back to the hotel so we can salvage this vacation. Amanda crossed her arms. We need to talk, Derek, but not about the vacation. About what happened here. About why you lied to me and to your friends and tried to use my mother's home without permission. His facade of contrition slipped. I was trying to arrange a nice vacation for everyone. Your mother overreacted and turned it into a whole dramatic scene. You charged people thousands of dollars to stay in her home without asking her, Amanda countered. You told me we were visiting for a weekend, not bringing 15 people for 3 weeks. Details, he dismissed. The important thing is that your mother made me look like a fool in front of important business contacts. Do you have any idea how this has affected my professional reputation? I started to respond, but Amanda placed a gentle hand on my arm. Mom, could you give us a moment? I need to speak with Derek privately. I hesitated, worried about leaving her alone with his manipulation tactics. It's okay, she assured me. I'll be right on the front porch, just a few minutes. I nodded and stepped back into the house, but remained within earshot, ready to intervene if needed. Through the partially open door, I could hear their conversation clearly. Derek, what you did was wrong on so many levels, Amanda began firmly. You lied to me, you lied to our friends, and you tried to use my mother's home as a money-making opportunity without her consent. I was networking, he insisted. These connections could lead to huge opportunities for us. Your mother has this massive house sitting empty most of the time. What's the big deal about sharing it? The big deal is that it's her house, not yours, not ours, hers. She worked for decades to afford it, Derek scoffed. And she could help us afford something similar if she wanted to. You're her only child. Instead, she's hoarding her money and assets while we're still paying a mortgage. There it was, the real issue laid bare. I felt a chill despite the warm Florida afternoon. Amanda's voice turned incredulous. Is that what this is about? You think my mother owes us a vacation home? Not just that, Derek said, apparently feeling free to express his true feelings now. She clearly has significant assets. Why shouldn't she help us financially? That's what family does. No, Derek, Amanda replied, her voice stronger than I'd ever heard it. That's not what family does. Family respects boundaries. Family asks rather than demands. Family doesn't view relationships as transactional. Don't be naive, he snapped. Everything is transactional. Your mother has money and resources. We could use them. It's simple. What's simple is the choice I need to make right now, Amanda said quietly. I'm staying here with my mother for the rest of the week. When I come home, we're going to need to have a serious conversation about our marriage and your expectations. Are you choosing your mother over me after everything I've done for you? His voice had risen, taking on an ugly tone I'd never heard before. I'm choosing myself, Amanda answered, and I'm choosing not to participate in your schemes anymore. You can go back to the hotel and explain to everyone whatever you want about why I'm not there. This is ridiculous, Derek spat. If you don't come with me right now, Amanda don't bother coming home at all. There was a moment of silence. Then Amanda's voice, calm but firm. If that's your ultimatum, I'll start packing my office next week. The door slammed as Derek stormed off. I heard his car start with a roar and peel down the driveway. Through the window, I could see Amanda standing on the porch, her shoulders shaking slightly. I went to her immediately, wrapping my arms around her as she cried. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, I whispered. I never wanted this to come between you and Derek. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. You didn't come between us, Mom. Derek's behavior did. His expectations did. His dishonesty did. She took a deep breath. I think I've been ignoring red flags for a very long time. We went back inside, and Amanda called her friend and colleague, Dr. Sarah Nolan, a marriage counselor. They spoke for nearly an hour while I gave her privacy. Afterward, she seemed calmer, more centered. Sarah suggested I talk with her professionally when I get home, Amanda explained. She thinks Derek and I should try marriage counseling if he's willing. That sounds wise, I agreed. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. I know, Mom, she smiled weakly. You always have. The next few days were difficult, but healing. Amanda alternated between grief, anger, and moments of clarity. Derek called, repeatedly cycling through anger manipulation and finally desperate pleas for her to return. She maintained her boundary about needing the full week apart, but agreed to meet him for counseling when she returned home. By the 5th day, most of Derek's guests had checked out of the hotel, unwilling to pay the full rate after their discount ended. Derek himself had apparently returned home, according to his last text to Amanda. On her final night with me, we sat on the beach watching the sunset. Amanda looked more peaceful than she had in days. Whatever happens with Derek, she said, I want to thank you for standing your ground. Seeing you refuse to be manipulated gave me permission to do the same. I squeezed her hand. You're stronger than you know, sweetheart. You always have been. I learned from the best, she smiled. A woman who worked her whole life to build something for herself, and who taught me the difference between generosity and being taken advantage of. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, I felt a sense of peace myself. The confrontation had been difficult, but sometimes standing firm is the most loving thing you can do. Not just for yourself, but for those who need to see what healthy boundaries look like. 1 month later, I sat on my terrace watching dolphins play in the distance, reflecting on everything that had happened since that fateful phone call from Derek. The aftermath had been complicated, but ultimately healing for everyone involved. Amanda had returned home to a contrite Derek, who'd apparently spent the week doing some soul-searching of his own. Perhaps the reality of her willingness to end their marriage had shocked him into self-reflection. They'd started marriage counseling with Dr. Wilson, an older male therapist Amanda respected, who specialized in financial issues within relationships. Derek actually opened up in our second session, Amanda had told me during our weekly phone call. He admitted that he's felt inadequate about money his whole life. His parents struggled financially, and he's been trying to project success even when it wasn't there. It didn't excuse his behavior, but it helped explain it. The counseling was uncovering layers of insecurity and childhood patterns that Derek had never addressed. "We're making progress," Amanda had said cautiously, "but I've made it clear that honesty and respect for boundaries are non-negotiable. I've also insisted on separate finances for now, and he agreed." I was proud of her for taking this measured approach, not rushing to forgive everything, but also not giving up without trying to address the underlying issues. It showed a maturity that I'd always hoped she would develop. As for the business associates Derek had tried to impress, the situation had actually resolved better than expected. 3 of the couples had contacted me separately to apologize for the intrusion and to thank me for arranging the hotel. 2 of them had even invited me to dinner as a gesture of goodwill, and we'd had a lovely evening without any mention of Derek. Most surprisingly, Derek himself had sent a formal letter of apology 2 weeks after the incident. It wasn't perfect, there were still hints of justification in his wording, but it acknowledged the wrongness of his actions and promised to respect my boundaries in the future. Amanda confirmed she hadn't pressured him to write it, which made it more meaningful. "He's working on himself," she'd explained. "The therapist has him reading books about healthy boundaries and financial transparency." I'd responded to his letter with a brief note, acknowledging his apology and expressing hope for more respectful interactions in the future. I wasn't quite ready to fully trust him again, but I was willing to leave the door open to rebuilding our relationship, slowly. The incident had also prompted me to clarify my own boundaries about my home. I created a small guest suite in one section of the villa, with its own entrance and kitchenette. This would allow me to host Amanda or other visitors while still maintaining my privacy, a physical manifestation of the emotional boundaries I'd established. 3 months after the confrontation, I invited Amanda to visit for a long weekend. I extended the invitation to include Derek as well, with clear parameters, 3 nights the guest suite, and plans made well in advance. To my surprise, Derek declined politely, saying he thought Amanda should enjoy some one-on-one time with me. It seemed he was actually learning. Amanda arrived on a Friday afternoon, looking more relaxed and confident than I'd seen her in years. As we walked along the beach that evening, she shared more about the changes in her marriage. "It's not perfect, Mom," she admitted. "We still have tough moments, but for the first time Derek is actually listening when I express my needs and boundaries. The counseling has been transformative." "I'm happy to hear that, sweetheart. You deserve to be heard and respected." She nodded. "I have also been reflecting on how I enabled some of his behavior. I wanted to believe everything was fine, so I ignored warning signs. I'm working on being more honest with myself." It was a profound insight, and it made me wonder about my own patterns. Had I sometimes been too quick to judge Derek based on my fears for Amanda? Could I have addressed my concerns more directly earlier in their relationship? That night I sat on my terrace alone, thinking about the complex dynamics of family relationships. The boundaries we set, the expectations we hold, the ways we try to protect those we love while still allowing them their own journey. I realized that standing firm that day wasn't just about protecting my home. It was about modeling for Amanda what self-respect looks like. It was showing her that love doesn't mean allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. That sometimes the strongest act of love is saying no when it would be easier to give in. 6 months after the incident, Amanda called with surprising news. She and Derek had decided to renew their vows in a small ceremony. "It's a fresh start," she explained. "We've both changed and grown, and we want to make new promises based on who we are now, not who we were 3 years ago." I was touched when she asked if they could hold the small ceremony on my beach. Just immediate family and a few close friends, she assured me. And yes, we're asking properly this time, with plenty of notice. I laughed and agreed immediately. The ceremony was beautiful in its simplicity. Just 20 people gathering at sunset to witness Amanda and Derek recommit to each other with more mature, realistic vows. Derek was respectful throughout the weekend, helping with preparations and cleanup, expressing genuine gratitude for the use of my home. At one point he approached me privately. "Valerie." He began looking slightly uncomfortable but determined. "I want to thank you for standing your ground that day. It was a wake-up call I needed. I've been working to understand why I felt entitled to use your home and resources that way." "I appreciate that, Derek," I replied honestly. "My therapist helped me see that I was trying to impress people with things that weren't mine to offer," he continued. "It wasn't fair to you, to Amanda, or even to our friends. It wasn't a perfect resolution. Real life rarely provides those, but it was a significant step toward healing." As I watched Amanda and Derek walk along the beach after the ceremony, heads bent in conversation, I felt hopeful for their future together. As for me, my peaceful retirement continued. I'd learned that establishing clear boundaries didn't diminish family connections. It strengthened them by building a foundation of mutual respect. My home remained my sanctuary, but now it was one I chose to share on my own terms. The sunset that evening was particularly spectacular, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink. I stood on my terrace watching the colors reflect off the ocean, feeling profound gratitude. For my home, yes, but more importantly, for the wisdom to protect what mattered without closing my heart. Have you ever had to stand your ground with family members who didn't respect your boundaries? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe, and share with someone who might need encouragement to protect their own boundaries. Remember, setting healthy limits isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect that ultimately benefits everyone in your life. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you find the courage to stand firm when it matters most.